Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last day of October. We made it. Quick recap before we get into LXG. If you've missed some of my stuff, we did 7 different movies about Dracula, 7 different movies about mummies, 7 on werewolves, and 7 different versions of Frankenstein. We've also done 2 different Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movies, and we're ending today with LXG. We've done classic Universal horror monster movies. We've done the Hammer horror films from the UK. We've done comedy versions. We've done parody versions. We've done animated versions. We've done serious versions. We've done edgy 2000s. We've done a lot in October. And we're ending today with the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We got a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde in here. We've got Mina Harkness from Dracula lore in here. And I think that's all from the people that we've covered throughout October this year. But maybe next year, I've got some Invisible Man films lined up. So, you know, this is the bridge. So, this movie came out when I was a kid. I think I was 12 years old. So I liked it when I was a kid, and because I'm nostalgic for things from my childhood, I still enjoyed it today. I have notes on it. I need to find those. But I just wanted to point out before we get into it that I didn't just want to sit here and tell you like, oh, this was great when it came out when I was a kid and I loved it, so I still loved it. I wanted to put a little bit more adult energy into this, so I actually bought the graphic novel that it's based on that I had never read, and then I didn't read it. I'm going to. I will. I promise. I just didn't get it done before I had to watch it again. But just, I mean, look at that. That's. I'm excited to read that. So, since I didn't get that done, I at least wanted to do something. So I also went ahead and bought a picture of Dorian Gray because I had never read that. So since I had read some of Dracula and I had read Frankenstein and I read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I was like, all right, well, we'll read Dorian Gray, since he's such a big part in that. And I didn't read this either. So, I'm 0 for 2 on my reading for this movie. So, all I can do is talk about the movie, which means I need to find my notes. One moment, please. Okay, we found them. Let's get into it. Alan Quartermain, not a character that I was familiar with as a child. They do reference King Solomon's Mine in the movie, which is the novel that he is famous from. But I have no familiarity with that character outside of this movie. Also, can we talk about this was Sean Connery's last live-action acting role? I believe he did some voiceover after this and some documentaries that he narrated. But this is his last acting role before his death. And when he died, like, so many people were like, oh, I'm going to rewatch the James Bonds, or I'm going to rewatch The Rock, or whatever. And I was just like, I want to rewatch LXG. But I didn't. I waited until now. But there's an interesting footnote for you. We get this line that was so odd, so oddly delivered that I wrote it down. When they're in India, and the guy from the British government has come to recruit Quartermain, and then they're attacked by these people who are clearly wearing plates of armor across their chest. These other people try shooting them, and of course they're not injured, and this British guy says, "They're indestructible!" And he says it in a very strange way. And then Alan Quartermain replies, No, just armor-plated. I won't do very many Sean Connery voices, don't worry. I had to do it once. And it's just like, it was an odd interaction, but I had forgotten that later in the movie, it's revealed that British guy was working for Moriarty the whole time. So I wonder if it was like the actor wasn't a bad actor, the character was a bad actor, and he was intentionally trying to drive up Quartermain's confidence in himself to set him up for failure. And then shortly after that, the guy's running away, and Quartermain gets his rifle, and he goes to shoot him, and the guy's like, but he's so far away! And it's, again, I had not remembered the reveal at this point, so I was just like, you know who this dude is, right? You know why he's famous. There's a reason you came all the way to India to get him. But again, I think it was all part of the ruse. I don't know. My next note just says Richard Roxburgh, because I forgot he was in this. After just watching Van Helsing and talking about him and remembering all his great work in Moulin Rouge, I've got another Richard Roxburgh here. What a guy. What a guy. He's so fun. Like, even if the movie's not great, and even if his role's not great, he's just a fun guy to watch. And he can play different types of characters with a bit of a fun edge to them. My next note is just a woman, because that's about the extent of Alan Quartermain's personality in this, is that he doesn't believe women can do anything. It's odd. It's odd to make that your main character's hill that they're going to die on. And then he doesn't really grow past that. Odd choice. I don't know if that's how it is in the novels or not. My understanding is that Mina is like the leader of the group in the graphic novel. So I don't know if he is still dismissive of her, but odd choice, and oddly fitting for Sean Connery's last film performance as someone who publicly stated that, well, I won't get into it. If you know, you know. Oh my gosh. Okay. So when Mina is finally explaining to everyone what she is and how she is and who she is, because she's been kind of a mystery, she talks about her husband, Jonathan Harkness, I think is his name, and their encounter with Dracula, and she mentions Transylvania. And Skinner, who is the Invisible Man in this movie, not the Invisible Man, but an Invisible Man in this movie, he goes, "Whoa, European?" And he is like, implying that people from Transylvania, because they're European, are odd or different or strange somehow. And I just wrote down, does Skinner not know that England is in the UK? Or is in Europe? Because Skinner is very obviously British and speaks with a very heavy British accent. So when she brings up Transylvania, he doesn't say Transylvanian, he says European, and I'm just like, you're European, my dude. So that was odd. Another odd note, I don't know if this was a reference or just a coincidence, but just like in Van Helsing, in this movie, Mr. Hyde is in Paris when they go to get him. And that story takes place in London. And in Van Helsing, they reference London and they say that he's fled. And this, I don't remember if they say anything at all. It's just weird that these two movies that I watched one day after another both have Hyde in Paris, which is not where his story is set. I wrote down another note about Dorian Gray's plan with his betrayal, but I think they kind of explained it later, so I'm not going to go over that. Oh, okay, so there's a scene where Quartermain and Tom Sawyer, Tom Sawyer is a weird inclusion in my opinion, but we're going to move past that. They're up on not even the deck, just this little outlook thing of the submarine, and Quartermain is teaching Tom how to shoot not American style. And Sawyer starts asking him something about his son, and Quartermain leaves and goes back inside the submarine because he doesn't want to talk about it. And Tom Sawyer takes down the rifle that is loaded and ready to go and sets the butt of it on the ground and places both of his hands on top of the end of the barrel and just kind of leans against it. And I'm just like, that's a hot rifle, my guy. Well, what are you doing? You're gonna shoot your hands off. That really, really bothered me. I know it's supposed to be this dark, somber, sad moment, but I'm just like, dude, you're gonna shoot yourself in the hand. Oh my gosh. My next note just says, oh, the canals. Other people have talked about this, the canals in Venice that are apparently large enough and deep enough to successfully allow the Nautilus movement in and out of the canals. I don't need to say anything more about that. It's dumb, but it's fine. Then I wrote, good thing that car is indestructible. So this I call it an automobile that Captain Nemo has provided. It's just driving through buildings and columns and concrete walls and doesn't take a dent. I don't know if he made that car out of vibranium or what, but that thing is indestructible. Quite a first attempt, Nemo. And then I wrote, my last note is a monologue via phonograph. So Moriarty has left this record fully explaining in great detail not only his plan, but what part Dorian Gray played in his plan, and all this stuff. And I'm watching it and I'm just like, this is the worst monologue in all of monologues, because not only is he explaining this stuff unnecessarily, he did it in advance and recorded it and then left it for the people to listen to. So, like, it's not even that he got caught up in the moment. This was part of his plan, was to monologue himself, talking about his plan. And then towards the end of the monologue, he's like, you're probably wondering why I'm telling you all this. Well, this whole time, there's been this other sound, blah, blah. And it turns out that the record is a trigger for some explosives. But I'm like, you could have put any sound on that record, and it still could have triggered the explosives. You probably didn't even need to use the record, because you've got a sound-making device on the case of the record, which is how they find the record, because that thing is making sound. Couldn't you use something like that to trigger the explosives? But even if you needed to use the record, and even if you wanted to do something that you knew would be engaging enough that they would play the whole thing and not stop it early, you didn't have to tell the truth. You could have said anything. So that is... I fully understand why people don't like this movie. I fully acknowledge it's not a good movie. It's got a stupid, indestructible cars and technology that doesn't make sense, and canals and geography that don't make sense. It's got bad plans and bad villains that just explain their plan to you and literally give you a record of their plan. I get it. It's not a good movie. I still enjoy it for what it is, which is a bad version of X-Men, but with public domain characters. I don't know if that's what this is. I'm excited to read this, but my understanding is that this is very, very different, and that the movie was pretty much being made before the book was finished. So it's not like based on the book, it's just using the brand recognition, I guess. So I still dig this movie. I still get a kick out of it, even though I know it's not good. And I think that's okay. And if you have movies like that, that's okay. But those are my thoughts on The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or LXG. I will say this movie has caused a still yet unresolved debate in my head about whether it's extraordinary or extraordinary. And I feel like it should be that one. But that's not how I pronounce it, even though I think that's how it should be pronounced. But there you go. Those are my thoughts on LXG. Let me know any thoughts that you have. Those are all my thoughts. We made it through every day of October with a new horror movie, in addition to all the actual new movies that are coming out. New horror movie every day in October. It was a lot more work than I anticipated. I started it in July. I started it in July. I did most of it in August. And it's literally October 31st here now as I'm filming this, because it took me so long to finish it. That being said, I kind of want to do it again next year. I had to refrain from doing something in December this year. I wanted to do a new Christmas movie every day in December. I don't think I'm going to do it. I've got some ideas for my music channel of some Christmas music videos that I want to do for December. But those are a little bit easier to manage than these. So maybe next year we'll do October again. Maybe we'll switch off. And maybe next year we'll do December for the movies. And then hit October. Maybe we'll switch off and on every year for a while. I don't know. I'm going to stop rambling. You're going to leave if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. Hey everybody, Sam Tom here. Just wanted to let you know that I have 2 channels. If you're watching my music content, I also have a movie channel where I talk about movies and TV shows. If you're watching my movie content, I have a music channel where I do song covers, instrument demos, things like that. So feel free to check that out. Obviously, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that YouTube stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.